Jai Hind everyone. My name is Aman Gupta. I am an assistant professor in MCA department in Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College. So, let's read privacy and security in online social media. Subject code is KCA 031. Today we are going to discuss trust management system, basic principle of trust, what are the characteristics of trust, what are the trust and policies on which the trust depends, trust and reputation system, and how trust impacts reputation system, and vice versa, that how reputation system impacts the trust management system. So let's start with what is trust. Trust means to rely on another person because you feel safe with them. So two persons have connected with each other and feel safe. So have confidence that they will not hurt or violate you. So trust is the foundation of relationship. A great relationship can be built when there is a trust, because it allows you to be vulnerable and open up to the person without having to defensively protect yourself. Because when a person rely on another person, so when a person can rely on another person when there is a trust between them. So what is the basic principle of trust? While trust relationships can vary significantly, one of the basic principles of trust law is that the whole purpose of the trust existence is to administer or property on behalf of another and hold it exclusively for the other's enjoyment without the benefit of the first person. First person is taking care of the second person's property or taking care of their things without the benefit of the first person. Now, what are the characteristics of the trust? Trust have many characteristics. That is, trust is asymmetric, trust is transitive. So, first of all, trust is asymmetric. What is trust is asymmetric? Between two parties, trust level is not identical. It means that when there are two persons, A and B, maybe A can trust B 100%, but it may also possible that B only trust A 50%. So it is not necessary that B also feels the same for A. But arguably trust can be transitive. How can it be transitive? Let's say that A and B know each other very well. Suppose A and B are best friends and they share everything with each other and trust A trust on B 100% and B also trust on A 100%. So they are best friends. Now B has a friend named C. Now B have a friend C whom A has not met. But since A knows B very well, so A may trust C to a certain extent. Maybe A can trust C or maybe he cannot trust C. But as he is a friend of C is a friend of B, so maybe A can trust C 50%. Okay. Now let's say C has a friend named D. Now C has a friend named D whom neither A nor B knows well. Now to D, A all don't know D and B also don't know D. So hence some argue that as the A could find it hard to trust D. So it is difficult for A. To trust D because he doesn't know D, B doesn't know D. So it is very hard for A to trust the D. He can trust C in some extent, he can trust B 100%, he trusts C 50%, and he can't trust D. So it means that when the distance between the nodes increases between the nodes, if the distance increases, then the trust level decreases. Second is trust is personalized. Trust is a subjective point of view. Two parties can have different opinions about the trustworthiness of the same person. So, two person can have different opinions about the third person. Every person have its own personalized thinking opinion about something, about some matter, or about some individual. For example, a nation may be divided into groups who strongly support the political party in charge and a group who would strongly disagree. So, it is the choice of the people who supports some BJP, Congress, or that type of. Some people support BJP, some people support Congress. So, it is the every personalized view, personalized opinion to choose or to support any political party. Third one is trust is context dependent. Trust is closely associated with overall context. In other words, trust is context specific. It means that maybe A trust B that he can give, if B needs some pen or pencil, so he can give to B easily. But if B needs a laptop, then maybe A find it difficult to give it to B because he is not trusting B to that extent that he can give his or her personal laptop to B. So that is context dependent. Now, what is trust in computer science? According to literature, trust in computer science is classified into two general broad categories. It is depending on it refers to systems or users. So, first category consists of security mechanisms. What is security mechanisms? Security mechanisms consist of the policies, rules, regulations, policies that is written, which describe the conditions necessary in a system to obtain the trust. And second category is based on the trust values. What are the trust values? Trust values can be direct or based on the recommendations gathered and shared by users in a distributed community via trust and reputation systems. It can be based on direct or recommendations. We will discuss it in next slide. The standard notion of trust connected to systems refers to the expectation that a device or system will faithfully behave in a particular manner to fulfill its intended purpose. What is the purpose of trust? When trust connected to systems, when we talk about the trust connected to system, it means that the device will behave in a particular manner or in which to fulfill its purpose. If the device or system fulfill the requirement of the system, requirement of the user, then it means that it completed the trust. The notion of system trust is supported by both software and hardware based solutions. These solutions follow a strong, crisp approach based on security mechanisms to create trusted or rather trustworthy systems that overcome technical failures as well as malicious attacks. So in this kind of policy based trust management, we can describe the conditions and necessary to obtain trust, and we can also prescribe actions and outcomes if certain conditions are met. Policies frequently involve the exchange or verification of credentials, so which are information issued and sometimes endorsed using a digital signature. So what is policies? Policies may consist of some credentials, involvement of credentials, some information, personal information, and by one entity, and may describe qualities or features of another entity. There is a comprehensive trust management scheme called policymaker and trust management policies, which specify the trust behaviors and trust relationships. Trust behaviors and trust relationships. There is a security policy responsible for assigning credentials to entities, delegating trust to third parties, and reasoning about users' access rights. Now, there may be a third party can be used to facilitate the exchange of credentials between a user and a computer. So, there may be a third party who is playing the role of the trust builder. The user, one user, maybe a user A, have to send some document to user B. And how can they authenticate that document? Through with the help of the third party. Okay. Another theory also in which it does not determine access rights, but instead enables two parties to securely exchange verifiable credentials. In the field of pervasive computing, there are two theories on which much work has been done. So, what are these two theories? These two theories are, the first one discusses the issues of key distribution in ad hoc networks and proposes a flexible key distribution mechanism using threshold cryptography. What is threshold cryptography? Cryptography is the mechanism through which when a document is shared with another user, then it is encrypted with some key, and when it receives by the user or the recipient, then he can decrypt that document through that key, and that is cryptography. Threshold cryptography is a field of cryptography that involves secure secret sharing while eliminating single points of failure usually associated with most distributed systems. So, that is threshold cryptography. Second theory is, the second one provides public key authentication service based on a trust model to monitor malicious and colluding nodes, allowing mobile nodes to monitor and rate each other with an authentication metric. The trust value can be updated in conjunction with public key certification. The vision of trust is based on the traditional policy-based mechanism, has been criticized since security does not necessarily imply trust on its own. We cannot treat all persons as the potential attackers, and taking corresponding protective measures can be, because it results in the incorrect, and the measures that we follow to avoid or to check all the participants can be expensive. So, we cannot judge any person, we cannot all the persons or all the participants as the attackers. So, if we check all the persons one by one or all the persons one by one, then it results in the cost increasing, and it become very expensive. We cannot ever know everything about everyone. we don't know, we cannot know. So about everyone, determine access control on the basis of a user's level of trust based on the recommendation from others about that user. Suppose we have to purchase a mobile phone, then what we do, we see the reviews of that model on the internet or different type of social media sites on the social media network. So what we see the reviews and recommendations by the users who already bought that device. So on the basis of his her recommendations or reviews, we select the mobile that we want to purchase. So we don't know or cannot know about everyone, so we can trust based on the recommendations. This work provides a formal policy language in which trust can be proved and takes into account referrals which are at the base of trust and reputation systems. There are some argue that security is not even a component of trust. So, can we say that security is a component of trust or is not even a component of trust? For example, the level of security in a system does not necessarily affect trust. Does not necessarily, but it can affect the trust. On the other hand, people are certainly more willing to engage in a e-commerce if they are assured that their credit card numbers and personal data are cryptographically protective. So when we purchase something on any social media network, any site like Amazon, Flipkart, or maybe there is some new website on which we purchase something, on which we want to purchase something, so it become easier for us to enter our personal details, our credit card details, our debit card details, if we know that the data that the transaction we are doing on that website are cryptographically protected. So we can say that security is a component of trust. It may be a component of trust. Now, what are reputation systems? Reputation systems are the programs or algorithms that allow users to rate each other in online communities in order to build trust through reputation. So, every website have their own reputation, and reputation built through recommendation systems, through reviews, through comments on their websites. So how come reputation systems? Reputation systems are the programs that allow users to rate each other. The notion of trust involving users is derived from psychology and sociology, with a standard definition according to which trust is a subjective expectation an agent has about another's future behavior based on the history of their encounters, or experiences. Suppose I purchase something from any site and they send me a wrong delivery, then my experience with this site becomes negative. I give negative feedback, negative reviews on their website. So trust is a subjective expectation, means it depends upon the my experience from this site become negative, is not good. This implies that trust is inherently subjective and relational. According to the probabilistic one, trust is the subjective probability by which an individual A expects that another individual B performs a given action on which its welfare depends. So it is expected by A. It is expected by A that B whatever action performed by B is for the welfare of A. It refers to this definition as reliability trust. So, A can rely on B completely. It includes the concept of dependence on the trustee and the reliability of the trustee as seen by the truster. According to the cognitive definition, trust is a mental state, a complex attitude of an agent X towards another agent Y about the behavior, action and to achieve the goal G. Both probabilistic and cognitive definitions share that trust is based on a directed relationship established from a truster to a trustee. Their interdependence is characterized by the fact that the interests of the two parties are related. Means A and B are interested in same thing. So that means the interests of the two parties are related. They cannot be achieved without relying on each other. So B has to rely on A and A has to rely on B, and I have to trust on both 100%. However, the relationship is not a trust relationship if these two conditions do not exist. If A doesn't rely on B, then relationship is not a trust relationship. So, as two members interact with each other frequently, their relationship strengthens and trust evolves based on their experience. So, more and more the two members, the two individuals, more and more interact with each other, their relationship becomes strong. Trust relationship becomes strong. Trust increases between members if the experience is positive and decreases otherwise. So, trust depends upon the experiences. How can it depends on experiences? That the if the experience is positive, if the experience is positive, then trust level decreases, trust level increases, and if the experience is negative, not get the thing done in the required manner, then the trust level decreases. Trust can be lost quickly. It means that trust is hard to build and easy to lose. A single violation of trust can destroy years of slowly accumulated credibility. Suppose we are using any site for purchase for 2 to 3 years, and I got a very good experience of shopping at that website. But suppose I order a iPhone from that site and he delivered a brick. So what it does? It destroy my years of slowly accumulated credibility. My trust go down, decreases. In addition to interdependence, the risk aspect connected to interactions among users have to be taken into account. It is possible that the value of damage is too high to choose a given decision branch, and this independently either from the probability of the failure, even if it is very low, or from the possible payoff, even if it is very high. In other words, that danger might seem to be to the agent an intolerable risk. It emerges that having high reliability trust in a person is not necessarily enough to decide to enter into a situation of dependence on person. It means that maybe a person or individual trust another person, is highly reliable on another person, or highly reliable on the other individual very much. But then also it is very uh, it is very important to decide that whether he has to totally dependent on that person or on that individual. For this reason, in addition to the already discussed concept of reliability trust, there has been introduced a concept of decision trust, as the extent to which one party is willing to depend on something or somebody in a given situation with a feeling of relative security, even though negative consequences are possible. Even though negative consequences are possible, but however, some persons like to decide to trust somebody. In this field, trust management follows a soft and social approach based on our trust values gathered and shared by a distributed community. In this sense, trust can be direct or based on the recommendations. What is direct trust? Direct trust is based on the direct experience. It is purchase something, that is called direct trust. Now, what is recommendation based trust? Recommendation based trust is connected to the reputation of the website or any social media apps. What it describes? It describes the reputation as a social evolution of a target entity attitude towards socially desirable behavior which circulates in the society. It can be agreed upon or not by each one of the entities in the society. In addition to this, reputation is an assessment based on the history of interactions with or observations of an entity, with the observations and interactions either directly with the evaluator or personal experience of the evaluator, or as reported by others, or based upon the recommendations or reviews of the third party apps or third party verification. Recommendations may be received through a chain of friends, through a friend, through a chain of friends network. So the problem for the user is to be able to evaluate various types of trust opinions. For an individual, it is difficult to choose whether to rely on that recommendations or reviews. Now, what is collaborative filtering techniques? What it is? Collaborative filtering techniques are the most popular methods that are used in the recommender systems. And what are the collaborative filtering techniques? These are the techniques that can filter out items that a user might like on the basis of the reactions by similar users. By similar users means the persons who also want, for example, a person who also want to buy something that I want to buy. It works by searching a large group of people and finding a smaller set of users with tastes similar to a particular user. The task in collaborative filtering. What is the task of trust in collaborative filtering? Is to predict the utility of items to a particular user based on a database of user rates from a sample or population or other users. Unfortunately, a collaborative filtering system poorly performs when there is a insufficient previous available common rating between users. Suppose there are not enough reviews or rating for that product that I want to purchase. I have to shop that product. So this is commonly known as the cold start problem, that there are not enough reviews or recommendations about the product which I want to purchase. So to overcome this problem, the introduction of purely trust-based approaches to recommendation has emerged. These approaches assume a trust network among users and make recommendations based on the ratings of the users, that are directly or indirectly trusted by the target user. A general characteristics of trust system is that they can be used to derive local and subjective measures of trust, meaning that different agents can derive different trust in the same entity. And reputation system provide global reputation scores, meaning that all the members in the community will see the same reputation score for a particular agent. And what is the another characteristics of trust system? The another characteristics of trust system is that they can analyze multiple hopes, of trust propagation, transitivity, whereas trust reputation system normally compute scores based on the direct input from members in the community, which is not based on the propagation and transitivity. That's all for today. Thank you so much.